If you're not 2,000 years old, your zodiac sign might not be what you think it is. The stars of the zodiac have shifted, and in this video, we're going to talk about the true sidereal astrology and the tropical astrology. So if you check your true sidereal chart, you are in for a big surprise, and you're not alone. It turns out the stars have shifted over thousands of years, and true sidereal astrology reflects these changes. Let me explain why your zodiac sign might be different and what it really says about you. This revelation often comes as a surprise to many who are familiar with Western astrology, which is what is in all the horoscopes that are published, and there's thousands upon thousands, if not millions, of astrologers around the world who use the system. So, in order to understand the two different systems, let's just do a little overview here. Tropical astrology, which is the most popular, is based on the four seasons: winter, spring, fall, and summer. It divides the year into 12 equally divided 30-degree segments, starting with the vernal equinox, which is in March, as being at 0 degrees Aries. The system remains fixed to the Earth seasons, regardless of the actual positions of the constellations in the sky. So oftentimes, people who are following this system have to look to the astrologers in order to understand where the sun is or where the moon is, because it doesn't match up with what can actually be seen in the visible sky. And that goes for all of the planets and asteroids, if you follow asteroids in your astrology, and some people do. True sidereal astrology, it takes into account how the Earth has shifted over the years and the apparent position of the constellations over long periods of time. And it's like it's doing this wibbly wobbly thing on its axis that's going sort of around in a sort of semicircle. And that is astronomers' explanation for why the stars appear to have shifted over the past 2,000 years. True sidereal astrology is the Western version. There is the Indian version, Vedic astrology, that they practice in India. And that also uses the stars and the constellations, but it still is about 6 degrees difference from what true sidereal astrology shows it is. While as heck, the tropical astrology is 24 degrees difference. And if you're splitting up that 360-degree circle and there's a 24 degrees difference to what is truly in the sky, that shifts your sign. That means your sidereal sun sign is likely to be one sign earlier in the zodiac than your tropical sun sign. This shift can have an extremely significant impact on how you interpret your astrological self. There are 5 planets of the self, not just the sun and moon. There's also the rising sign based on the time of your birth. All of this shifts dramatically. And if you feel like you're a Gemini, according to tropical zodiac, then you just might be a Taurus, because that was my experience. So, the other thing that sort of impacts on your astrological profile is sidereal astrology offers new insights into your life path and spiritual journey. We'll get into that in a little bit here. So I'm going to be putting up a graphic right up here that shows on the top where the spring equinox is according to true sidereal and how it doesn't line up with evenly with the lines. And then the one on the bottom shows it's lining up between Aries and Pisces. Only that's not the case. In fact, this graphic doesn't actually show the true size of all the constellations that are on the zodiac line, also known as the ecliptic. And I do want to mention sidereal is a astronomy term, and it's an adjective which means determined by or from the stars. And the actual position on the sky means your true sidereal sun sign is likely to be one sign earlier, and the constellations are not equal in size. So let's take a look at what does that look like in a birth chart. First, we've got, I created this fictitious birth chart for Tobias Mooney. I said Tobias was born in London on the 1st of January of 2000. And this first chart that I'm putting up here is the tropical chart. And as you can see, everything is 30 degrees. All the signs are even on the outside of the circle. Everything shows here where all of his planets are. And according to this, his sun is in Capricorn and his moon is in Scorpio. But when we compare that to the sidereal chart, it is showing that his sun is actually in Sagittarius and his moon is in Libra. Also, you can see along the outside, these signs are not evenly divided. And we've slipped in another sign right here, this little black rectangle, which has the little U with the little thing in it. That is Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus is the sign that's been on the zodiac all along. People have known about it for centuries, but it was removed because it didn't fit in the 12 signs to fit in the 360-degree circle. One of the other aspects that can change dramatically is the ascendant sign, which is visible on the eastern horizon. And according to the tropical, his ascendant sign, how others see Tobias Mooney is Aries. But according to True Sidereal, it is Pisces. And that's a pretty huge shift from fiery, I'm going to get things done, I'm the great hunter, I'm the great protector, I am going to stand up for things, I'm going to be a warrior, and that's how people would perceive Tobias when they first meet him, to Pisces, which is more dreamy, more intuitive, somebody who is concerned with balancing out things emotionally and is concerned with the give and take between people rather than confronting them. Or the other thing that changes dramatically is the balance of the four elements of earth, air, water, and fire, and how we interpret those based on the 13 zodiac signs. Plus, with Ophiuchus, there is one additional sign and one additional planetary body. So Ophiuchus is the additional sign, and Ophiuchus element is ether. And in Ophiuchus is the galactic center. And that galactic center is a black hole. And it's in the center of our galaxy. And this is the place also known as the divine seat. It is God consciousness. And whether it's King Arthur or Christ, they had 12 followers, and they were the 13th. In Norse mythology, Loki is the one who came in and became the 13th guest at the table, upsetting things. So mythologies and tales and folk tales have this galactic center showing up. It shows up in South American star cultures with Quetzalcoatl, and there are many, many others. So this God consciousness is the higher self, and with that in the chart and recognized as part of the chart, it changes how we read the chart because we are tapping into that. So whether it's God or goddess, it has to do with really discovering this more ancient version of astrology, which 2,000 years ago was a two-sided coin with astronomy, because you looked up at the stars with, the farthest you look is the planets in tropical astrology. The stars don't matter. It's all about the signs. So they've taken the signs outside of the sky and outside of time and use them symbolically for their meaning. Whereas in true sidereal astrology, also known as constellational astrology or true sky, real sky, that knowledge is absolutely available to you. All right, so we've talked about how tropical astrology and sidereal astrology are different. Let's look at how they are the same. So when we look at the charts side by side, you'll see that the inner circle, the numbers on the inner circle, the 1 through 12 going counterclockwise around in the circle, are the same. So those are the houses. And all those fun little lines in the middle, those also are the same. Those are the angles of the chart. And the angles of the chart are what we like to call aspects in astrology. So it's just the relationship of one planetary body or point to another, and how well they get along in astrological terms based on the angle. Some angles are harder, some angles are blessed. And so when you look at the charts, you can see those are the same. The other thing that is the same, the planets. The planets are the same. The only thing that is changing is that outer wheel of the constellations of where they truly are. So, true sidereal astrology has recovered how we see the skies, that how we see the signs are actually how we see the stars, rather than just a mythological archetype. And they're also the full size of how long they are on the ecliptic. So if you're trying to translate one version to another, you can know with surety that if your south node is in the 10th house in your Western tropical astrology chart, then it is in your 10th house in the sidereal chart. If your um, Mars is square Venus. So just a little bit of a quick understanding of how that works. And yeah, what do you think? Are you a tropical fan or a true sidereal fan? Mark it down in the comments and let me know. And you can always use my free chart calculator to uh, find out what your true sidereal sign really is. So you can connect with the stars above the same way that the birds and the trees and all the animals and insects on this planet do. So please be sure to click like and subscribe. and watch this next video. If you want to learn more about true sidereal astrology, there's a link down below where you can get your chart done on my website, and that'll show you what your chart would look like as a true sidereal astrology person.